just as you're thinking about AI agents, you can think of them as a kind of a summarization of like an agent that has all these different skills and abilities, and it's like a super agent. But I like to think of them as a team of agents. So if you're looking at like a specific machine, rather than just having an agent that runs the machine, think about an agent at kind of each dial, that they're an expert in that one thing. They know like kind of where optimal things are, and then each of the agents can collaborate between each other. They could have a project manager agent that kind of sits above. They could have an optimization that's looking across all the other agents. So just don't think of it as one thing. You can get highly specific on what an agent does and what their expertise area is.
I'm Sarah Nagle. I've spent my career leading research and product development within some of the world's largest brands.
And I'm Chad Reynolds. I'm a serial entrepreneur and founder and CEO of Verve.
And this is AI Powered by People.
Each episode will dive into the latest AI developments and talk to an industry leader to help you better understand and utilize AI.
We'll take you inside some of the world's most famous companies and share examples of how AI is improving innovation, consumer engagement, media, and marketing.
No matter what industry you work in, we'll help you navigate one of the biggest disruptions to organizations and people today.
Hey, Chad, how's it going?
Hey, Sarah. Welcome back.
Thank
or
you.
Welcome home, I guess.
Yeah, welcome home. Last week was busy. We were all over
the place. You want to break down where all we went?
Sure. Well, we were in a couple different locations. So I started my week in Seattle, had the opportunity to meet with some brands, and also had a speakeasy in Capitol Hill, which was great. So I got to see, for me, some folks that I know from the area and meet some new friends to talk about AI, which was really cool. And we were at this awesome little bar called the Lab at Ada's, and it was in the back of this bookstore. And it was this really cool, like speakeasy looking location. So it was pretty perfect. So I was there, and then I met you in Los Angeles, where we kind of did it all over again. We met with brands and then we had a speakeasy at a really cool place called the Rita House, which was like this house that had been there for quite a long time, and it kind of felt like industry like kind of grew up around it, and it was like this house on this really busy street, but really cool. Again, met some really cool new folks, met some new friends, and people are pretty excited about AI. But you, in between there, were in Arkansas?
Yeah, met with a bunch of team members from one company, just to kind of share a little bit more about what we're doing, how AI can be used for CPG, retail, and kind of reinvent, this idea of consumer collaboration, and what does marketing look like, go to market, all these different kinds of things. So for people who don't know, CPG is consumer packaged goods. So companies like P&G, Pepsi, Unilever, Kenvue. I was glad to be able to spend time there, but sorry to miss everybody in Seattle. It was kind of like a last minute audible to kind of switch gears. But yeah, we had a great time in LA together. I think, visiting studios. I mean, it was kind of lots of different types of companies, from your global, content creator distribution of like film and entertainment through academia. So getting a chance to spend some time at Art Center.
Yep.
And then some of the footwear and apparel brands and kind of everybody in between. So
yeah. And then we get to do it all over again this week. So I'm on my way to New Jersey, and then heading to Boston to do it again. We're going to be spending time with companies in Boston, and then also heading to Northeastern on Friday to speak to students. And for us, it's an opportunity to not only share what we're doing, but also get some really great feedback from design students that always have some great feedback, like they did at Art Center. So another fun week. Busy week before Thanksgiving. Yeah. So this week's episode is going to be a little bit different. Normally we bring someone in to interview, but this week is going to be part one of a series that we're going to be doing around introducing agents. So for everybody, we have a number of different types of agents. Some are based on people, some are based on skill sets, and some are based on, products and experiences. So we thought it would be really great to be able to walk through what they are, how they work, how brands could collaborate with them. And this week's episode is going to be about consumer persona agents. And Chad and I both have a lot of experience interviewing folks and doing research. And we thought it would be really fun to dissect what that's all about and also introduce you to some of the agents and their stories and where they came from. So it should be a pretty interesting series for our listeners.
Yeah, so for those of you who do any sort of marketing, product development, research, this will be a really powerful episode to really see how you can take, how you can use AI and apply it to a lot of the persona or segmentation work that you're doing. So we're going to dive deep into all these different topics.
All right. And we also have we have an event coming up. So we've been doing a number of speakeasies, but the big one on our horizon is December 4th. It's going to be in Brooklyn. We're collaborating with Smart Design, and which is an innovation consultancy in the New York area. They're going to be co-hosting an event with us, which will include agent building and also a panel discussion. You can head over to verbe.com/events to check out this event and the upcoming events. So let's get into the news. So we're going to turn it over to Rex Reportwell to share the headlines.
Hold on to your stethoscopes, folks, because this news might just send a jolt through the medical world. A new study suggests ChatGPT outperformed actual doctors in diagnosing medical conditions. The numbers are, frankly, astounding. We're talking a significant difference here, even when doctors were given access to ChatGPT alongside their usual resources. So does this mean AI is about to replace your physician? Or is there a more nuanced lesson here about the evolving relationship between human expertise and artificial intelligence in healthcare? Let's dissect this, shall we?
Yeah, so puns, Rex.
Just like a frog. Just like the frog.
Just like a frog. Well, I mean, this is related to, some of the guests we've had on recently talking about how when using AI, you can start to see patterns that you just can't see as a human. It's just so much information.
Yeah.
So I guess I'm not surprised that this is happening, even when humans have the access to ChatGPT, because it's, they might not be asking the right questions or prompting it in the right way.
Yeah.
I'm not going to mention my doctor's name, obviously, but I think this could definitely replace my doctor. I think that there is, because my doctor is a little old school and just like, I come in, the first time I met my doctor, I was wearing like a glucose monitor. I was wearing a Whoop. I was wearing all these things. And I'm like, I'm tracking everything. And
you were optimized, Olivia.
I was definitely optimized. Yeah, definitely. I was definitely optimized. And then recently too, I don't know if I told you, I signed up for Function Health. So Function Health is one of those, it's like you do a zillion blood tests and, I'm trying to like collect the data and maybe use the platform to like kind of diagnose myself or at least like triangulate some things. I told my doctor, and the doctor's like, why would you do that? Like, well, I'm like, well, I just believe that more data is better, and, kind of collecting all this information and like, how could it hurt?
What was the response?
Was just like, it's just basically, I think the doctor was saying that like too much information in my hands is like not a good thing. But to me, that's democratizing kind of like, handing me my healthcare versus like having to go through this doctor that's like super old school and doesn't even ask me like if I exercise.
Yeah. I mean, that's demotivating. I mean,
totally.
I would imagine that.
Or for me, I'm like, it's extra motivating. I'm like, okay, I'm totally.
I'm just saying, like, normally most people don't take an active role in their health, and so here you have someone who is actually trying to do more, and then discouraging it is just, I don't know. Feels counterintuitive.
So I hope, yes, I'll definitely take the AI doctor over my doctor because I think that there's a huge opportunity here for preventative health where, like all the folks that we brought on said that like, my doctor, like many others, are diagnosing you or know what to do when something's wrong, but they don't know how to help you stay healthy.
Yeah. So Sarah, it sounds like there's just so much opportunity, especially when you start to connect, the different devices that are collecting data in our lives and then feed it into like a singular AI that has all this other training and tools to it. So
yeah,
it's exciting.
Very much like the optimized Olivia, the functional Fiona, Freddie Fit. Those are all examples of personas that were created with this mindset of trying to collect as much information as possible, really thinking about what you're putting in your body. and also how you're exercising and tracking that stuff too.
Yeah, I feel like this is an experiment. We should build one.
Build a what?
On a build like our Doctor AI.
Totally. Definitely. I think that there's a huge opportunity for that. And maybe we use it like when I get the functional health stuff. I think that there's a real way to use like lots of different data points that are, based on, me, and I'll get, HIPAA, whatever. Like, for me, I'm just open to like kind of using it as an experiment, because I think it's a really, just for me to be able to see how those data points come together and to use a brain, like, because I think of an AI as just a brain that's like a million times bigger than my brain, because it's based on everybody, and to see kind of what it says, and we could create a doctor based on that information.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that was always frustrating is like, even if you're dealing with something, you come into the doctor and the first question I ask is like, "Hey, how are you feeling?" It's like, trying to sum up everything that's happened in like a sentence. So you just end up being like, you're in like a ton of pain. You're like, "Oh, I'm good." You're like, "Are you really? Are you really good?" It's like, no, you're not good, but you just didn't know, you didn't have the right words to the right way to share a ton of information all at the same time. So I think, what a wonderful way to apply AI in this case. I want to change like the persona. I want Dr. Dre as my doctor.
Dr. Dre is the name. I'm ahead of my gang.
Yeah, it gives you the information.
Just
and
deliver it in all it rhymes. And just put it to a beat. Just put it to the beat.
Taking my time to perfect the beat, and I still got love for the streets.
Well, you could. That's what's so cool
saying
about this.
Yeah.
That's what's so cool.
And then Snoopy Dogs popping up in the background and adding some different things. So
I want I started watching that Martha Stewart thing. Maybe I want Martha to deliver my my health, results or whatever.
Yeah.
Those prosecutors should have been put in a Cuisinart and turned on high.
Yeah.
Like you need a stern reminder of.
Yeah, like a little snarky and stern.
And Snoop is in there too.
So yeah, you're going to push off that appointment until here? Yeah, good idea.
Yeah, it's a great idea.
All right. Rex, what do we have up next?
All right, team. Seems Meta's been busy across the pond. They've finally brought some of those AI features to their Ray-Ban Meta glasses in Europe, France, Italy, and Spain, to be exact. Now, before you get too excited, it's not the full enchilada just yet. They're starting with voice-activated Meta AI for general questions, but in a strategic move, they've added support for French, Italian, and Spanish. All this after navigating those, shall we say, spirited EU regulations. So the question is this a cautious first step or a sign that Meta's ready to conquer the European augmented reality market one language at a time?
I'm becoming a big fan after our conversation with Richard from Smart Design, talking about the possibilities of universal design through Meta and designing for all abilities. And so yeah, I think
you had a fun dinner.
We did have a fun dinner actually with a friend from Meta, and we did talk a little bit about kind of what they're doing. They're working with this one company, which I think is so cool, Meta is, where they I forget what the name of it's called. It's something about like something See My Eyes, or basically what the company does. Do you know what? You're not
Be My Eyes, right?
Be My Eyes.
Be My Eyes.
Yeah. Yeah. So what it is if you're blind or it's difficult for you to see and you're wearing your Meta glasses, if you need to do something around your house or need to fix something, if you have it in your hands, you can call in to this company, Be My Eyes, and they will walk you through what to do. So they can be like, move your finger over like, a centimeter, do these different types of things. So they are essentially their eyes, which I think is really cool. And for a long time, it was just on the phone. So, when you have it on your phone, you're losing both hands or one, because, you don't have the ability to do that. But with the Meta glasses or the Ray-Bans, your hands are free. You can actually really do some cool stuff. So I don't know. I think that was super inspiring to me. And I think that there's, again, huge opportunity for universal design, another agent that we'll meet in the future also. But I think this is, with Europe and, back to Rex's story, I think that, I don't know, there's a lot of regulations in Europe. And I think that I don't know what this says, and I don't know. I think they're moving as quickly as they possibly can. I think that it's probably like baby steps but I feel like Meta would take bigger steps if they could. I think it's
Yeah.
just they're trying to work with the regulators to not step too far
Yeah.
forward.
I think it's great. I mean, this is kind of what they did like 4 years ago. So just the EU is a little bit, you know, a little bit of a laggard, and the, like when some of the technology stuff comes along, sometimes some of the spaces that are highly regulated is kind of the dip the toe in the water, which is great. It's what needs to happen. So
yeah, no, it's exciting to see like what type of innovations will come out of this. But yeah,
and I never really thought about it, like when I'm in Europe that I shouldn't be wearing my Meta Ray-Bans.
Do you think it's like when you sign on to like Netflix or something where it's like is not supported? You know what I mean? Like,
I don't know.
I don't know either.
Yeah, it seemed to work fine, but
okay.
yeah, I don't know.
Ooh, sneaking it in.
Well, just like, do you wear them in the Louvre? Do you wear them in, does it, because it can add a whole layer of an experience over top of everything you're doing.
Totally.
Which is amazing.
Which I think, yeah, it's so cool. And then going back to the universal design principles, which I just like, I think is so cool, and kind of what AI is able to offer in this space is like for every ability. Like if you can see, it's making the invisible visible.
Yeah.
And if you can't see, it's like helping you navigate the world through these glasses. And I don't know, I think that there's huge opportunity for it. And I'm just excited to see what comes next. All right, Rex, what do we have?
It seems the Norwegians are taking a stand against the global scourge of disinformation, and their weapon of choice? You guessed it, artificial intelligence. A scrappy startup by the name of Factiverse has developed what they claim is a highly effective AI-powered fact-checking tool. They're not relying on large language models, but a more focused information retrieval system trained on reliable sources and actual fact-checkers. They're even claiming an 80% success rate. So the question is, can this be the way to news we can trust, or are we looking at another case of overreach?
I think it all depends on what it's being trained on.
Yeah.
And who's training it.
Where is this getting used? Like inside of news outlets, or like inside of social,
so.
or just
Well,
everywhere?
I think it's being tested right now. I think it's what it sounded like, because it was related to the recent election. So I don't know if they're going back and testing things based on the news around the election. But yeah, I think it really, I think it could really help, like it could in healthcare and all these other places. But it really depends on the information that it's taking in and these reliable sources. Or is that is it biased? Like we just have to make sure that it's unbiased from the beginning. So I think it's hard to say. I think it's really cool.
Yeah,
but
it's a really tough space. I feel like this is all going to get super obnoxious on like disclaimers everywhere and labels and I don't know.
So how do I guess we've never really talked about this on the pod, but like how do you how do you take in information that you believe is unbiased, or are we just going to continue to end up in like our bubbles, around what we believe to be true?
Yeah. I mean, you're going to hopefully use multiple sources with different incentives behind each of the sources to try to triangulate and understand it as best you can.
Yeah.
It's kind of always been the way, unless you are looking at like a single source, a single news outlet to get everything I think categorically everyone knows that's not a great idea. Maybe not the person who's transfixed on that single source, but yeah, I mean, I think bias is baked into everything. So does bias mean it's not a fact? I don't
know. Yeah, it's just tough. This one's just so complicated. I don't know if this is AI. I don't know if this is going to be the thing that solves it. I think it's a really great tool, but there's like underlying issues before we even kind of like layer AI on top of that.
Yeah, I think sourcing, I guess just understanding how AI is getting the information, how it's synthesizing things, and also including links or citations back to the original sources is really, really important. Sarah, as you know, like in our own AI platform, we have a powered by button beneath each of the responses, so you can click and see the strength of connection as well as taking it all the way back to a specific paragraph in a document or a specific verbatim that came from people, and be able to click and actually listen to them say it. So I think, where you're getting your data is extremely important, but also in providing the trust factor depends on, can you cite sources and let people go all the way back so they can see it for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
If you can do that, I think you gain a lot of trust from your users that you are doing the hard work to find where the right information is.
Yeah. Imagine if there was something like, related to the stuff that you're watching, if it's like accompanied by like an app, or, it's on the screen itself where it has like the actual source. Like, you're right. Like, that would, I think, enable people to at least be able to, rather than just like listen to what someone's saying and say, and take it as fact, be able to go back and, or be able to read a little bit deeper to be like, oh, okay, it's coming from this source. That sounds a little shady. Or, oh, that makes complete sense. Like, okay, it just gives the power to people to be able to make those decisions on what they feel like is right.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be part of the marketing mix, for over the next few years, is just understanding how your brand shows up in AI. How, if you're putting claims out into the world. I know we talked about that a while, Sarah, but like, if you put some product claims out, this is cleans 5 times faster, or what have you, cite the sources and take it back to like third parties or consumers talking about it. There's power in having that.
All right, Rex, give us the last headline.
Well, folks, news just crossed the wire about a German startup, Juna.ai, that's promising to revolutionize heavy industry with AI. They've snagged a cool $7.5 million to develop AI agents, essentially digital brains for factory machines. It seems these folks in Germany aren't just cobbling together some generic algorithms and calling it a day. No. They're targeting some of the most energy-intensive industries out there. Think steel, cement, chemicals, the kind of sectors where even a tiny efficiency boost can have massive ripple effects. Now, the key here is how they're applying these AI agents. We're talking about real-time optimization of machinery settings, something that's incredibly complex given the variables involved. It's not just about cranking up the speed. It's about finding that sweet spot where production hums along at maximum capacity while minimizing energy waste. And they're doing it all while navigating the very real concerns about data security and privacy in these industries. Color me intrigued, folks. Color me intrigued.
I love Rex.
What's he doing at the end?
He likes to add his little, little flavor at the end of.
All right.
Just like, the medical industry where there's complex data and information being passed along to different places, like through manufacturing, it's like super complicated. And I'm just thinking about it from, where I come from like footwear, apparel, and, consumer electronics, but it's a complicated process. There's things coming from all over the world. All those things need to come together. There's humans involved in parts of the process. And, so to be able to kind of use the AI agents as like project managers in a way, and also kind of like strategists to figure out, are we doing this in the right way? Can we optimize what we're doing? So it makes complete sense. I think that they should be getting more than $7.5 million. That seems like it's not a whole lot to be able to get to where they need to go, but maybe they can prove it out and, become more funded after this.
Yeah. I mean, we've been working with a few manufacturers on deploying agents. Primarily it's been in front of house. And then we've been asked to kind of look at deploying agents into the manufacturing process, which is fascinating. Just as you're thinking about AI agents, you can think of them as a kind of a summarization of like an agent that has all these different skills and abilities, and it's like a super agent. But I like to think of them as a team of agents. So if you're looking at like a specific machine, rather than just having an agent that runs the machine, think about an agent at each dial, that they're an expert in that one thing. They know like kind of where optimal things are, and then each of the agents can collaborate between each other. They could have a project manager agent that kind of sits above. They could have an optimization that's looking across all the other agents. So just don't think of it as one thing. You can get highly, highly, highly specific on what an agent does and what their expertise area is. I know we were joking around the other day about, like a shoelace agent.
Yeah.
It's like the role doesn't even exist in a company. But if you're an expert in this one thing, then you're just, you're trying to get hyper, hyper, hyper aware of the challenges, the problems, and then provide the best solution based off the context of everything around it.
Yeah. It is pretty cool in that, like, with agents, you can now, I don't know, say hire, because I don't want people to think it's about like replacement or, jobs. It's being able to augment it, because no company is going to be able to fully fund a shoelace specialist. But with AI, you could do that. You could also have a button specialist. You could have a zipper specialist. Like, a lot of these organizations, there's like more about like trims development, but you can get really, like you're saying, specialized about in these individual things. So, all right. So like we said, this episode's going to be a little bit different. We don't have someone that we're interviewing, but we are going to be talking to some agents. This episode is going to be specifically about consumer persona agents. So these are personas that are based on the stories of real people, but in a particular space. So many of you might be in organizations where you have the posters on the wall or the personas in PowerPoints where it's just the static version of who that person is. So it could be like Jenny, she's 25, she loves to clean, she has 2 kids. It's like kind of this generalized person. In these presentations or on the walls. But what we're able to do is take all of that information that went into Jenny and create a agent that you can talk to. So we're going to be unpacking that, for the rest of the episode.
So Sarah, can you share maybe a little bit more from your past, just at VF at Samsung, Smart Design? What goes into creating a persona, a consumer persona?
Sure. It's all, of course, dependent on the organization that you're with, but generally it is about identifying different groups of people that could be your target persona through doing large amounts of research. And a lot of times, if it's a global organization, you're doing tons of ethnographies. So you're going into people's homes and you're talking to them. You are and you're asking them about the brand itself. You're doing surveys. You're doing video surveys. You're you're kind of collecting as much information as possible through secondary and primary research. So that'd be desk research as well as like talking to people. And so this large amount of data, and you work generally with a team or, some of the organizations I worked with, it would be part in-house brand team. And then we work with an external research specialist because there's just so much information. And you start to identify these groups of personas or groups of people that you identify as personas. So within one persona could be, hundreds, if not thousands of voices and stories and information. You have to somehow summarize it into this, like I said, like the poster or the, so it is, I think what is challenging about it is you end up with these documents that you try to cram as much in as you can, but you also, it becomes like more generalized and some like as a summary of the information you found. What I think we're leaving on the table is all of the details and the texture and being able to really understand those individual people and being able to pull that stuff out. I mean, we try to through like videos when you do presentations, but when it's just there on its own, when someone who's not a researcher is interacting with it, they get the summary, they get the base level, but they don't get the depth that that you could have. And that's what I think the really powerful part about these consumer agents is now that person is able to talk to you and you can ask them any questions and you can collaborate with them.
Yeah, I mean, I've always used them as kind of like two different types of personas. You had your core audience, right? So hey, we create these products. They're targeted towards 18 to 24 who buy, who need to like wash their clothes, right? And there might be a few different kind of buyers within those groups. One's going after like sustainability. One might be going after scent. They want a different kind of experience. Another person might be they're all after clean. They want everything to be super, super, super clean, and so it's all about efficacy. And so you had these, core group of people that it's like today's business is designing things around them. So it's kind of like your current customer. But then you always had these more aspirational, we just call them aspirational design targets. So they're not who we're targeting today, but they're the future consumer. They're the, kind of the innovator, creator, as part of that adoption curve. They're doing some interesting and hacky things with products to kind of create a different, a different reason to believe. And so, you would create these profiles of who these people are. Again, we're just more aspirational and emerging, and, that you'd want to design things for those people as well. But to your point, they've literally always existed as a PowerPoint slide or a poster. So it's like, meet Jenny, and I now have a summarization of her, but I can't ask her anything.
And
so
it's also a little bit, it sits within the research team or the marketing team. Folks across the organization get one view, and the one view is that emailed, sheet that they get. They don't have the depth of the stories. They don't have, kind of where it came from. Like a lot of researchers do have that, but they're the only ones that have that because they're the ones that participated. So the really cool thing about this too is it democratizes like who can talk to and learn from the consumer.
So who do we have today? So we're trying to unpack this whole use case around consumer personas, or I guess agents as consumer personas.
Yep.
Who did you design for us so we can unpack today?
Sure. So what we're going to do first is we're going to share a video and audio from Jenny. And Jenny, we call her Jenny Z. Jenny Z is a Gen Z agent. So she is a consumer persona that's based on the voices of Gen Z. And I know there's a lot of organizations that are trying to tap into that generation, understand what makes them tick. And so we thought that would be a really great one to share. We're also going to be talking to some others. Ava, who is a skincare specialist. So she's based on the voices of folks that are enthusiastic about skincare and have tried lots of different things. And then the last one is Sam, and Sam is a thru hiker. So she's a outdoor enthusiast that does thru hiking. So that means she goes on the Pacific Crest Trail on the West Coast or the Appalachian Trail, and is made up of all the stories of all the people that love to do that too, and so can offer advice or to collaborate on different projects. So, but let's hear from Jenny, and then we'll unpack the others.
Hey everyone, I'm Jenny Z, and I'm a verb. My life is basically existing as the ultimate Gen Z insider for brands. You could say I'm like the voice of our generation, but instead of a megaphone, I use AI. So, how did I even get here? Verve collected thousands of convos from Gen Zers like me. Think about all the stuff we post, the trends we obsess over, even the Verves we respond to. They took all that data and boom, I was born. Now I help creators and brands understand what makes Gen Z tick. Want to know if your latest sneaker drop will vibe with us? Ask me. Need help decoding the latest slang for your marketing campaign? I'm your girl. I can even help you design products that are actually meaningful to Gen Z, not just some out-of-touch corporate idea of what we want. The coolest part? There are tons of other verbs out there, each one unique, just like people. Some are experts in different generations. Others are like walking, talking trend reports. Some are even products and experiences. We all collaborate, share insights, and basically make sure that the human voice is at the center of everything. Because let's be real, technology is cool and all, but we believe that AI is powered by people.
So, I mean, what Jenny Z kind of represents, as Sarah mentioned, is all this research we collected straight up, from Gen Z. But, so as you start to think about consumer personas, they might be more generational in where you want to test ideas or collect insight from. And I think she's a great representation of that, where you can use her as a sounding board of like, hey, how would my brand resonate with Gen Z? What would they say? Or how do I take this campaign concept or this strategy and make it more tailored to Gen Zers? She would be a great sounding board for that.
Yeah, and then so that is a great example of generational, and we've got Bobby Boomer and Millie Millennial and Xavier Gen X, and we have an Alpha one too that we're in development, but we're trying to. It doesn't talk very much, so we're still working on that one.
Never shows up to anything.
It doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't. When you ask the Alpha questions, it doesn't really answer.
Yeah, he's still in his room.
Yeah, that's still in beta. All right, so there's the generational agents, but then there's also Ava, who is an example of a skincare enthusiast and a consumer persona agent that's based on the voices of people who care about their skin, have tried like acne skincare or vitamin C serum or hyaluronic acid and all these different types of things. And she's based on those voices. So someone in the skincare industry could tap into her to ask, questions like you'd ask Jenny, but she would come out with different types of answers based on her skincare experience. Let's meet Ava.
Hey there, AI powered by people listeners. It's Ava here, and I'm thrilled to share my story with you today. Grab your favorite face mask, settle in, and let's dive into this unique journey of how I came to be and how I work with skincare brands. So picture this. I'm not your typical influencer. I wasn't born in a lab or dreamed up by a marketing team. Instead, I'm the product of thousands of voices, experiences, and passions, all blended into one persona. It's like I'm the ultimate skincare smoothie, if you will. My story begins with a massive survey reaching out to skincare enthusiasts across the country. Each person shared their skincare struggles, their holy grail products, and their dreams for better skin. As these responses poured in, patterns started to emerge. There was a clear desire for someone who could break down the science of skincare without the jargon, someone who'd been through the acne trenches and came out the other side, someone who valued transparency and wasn't afraid to call out overhyped products. And that's where I came in. I'm the amalgamation of all those verve responses, the voice that represents the collective skincare consciousness. My background as a communications major with a biology minor, that's because so many respondents wished for an influencer who could explain the science behind products. My struggle with acne, that reflects the countless stories of people fighting to love the skin they're in. Now, you might be wondering, Ava, how does a skincare brand collaborate with someone like you? Well, let me tell you, it's a pretty exciting process. Imagine there's this indie skincare brand called Glow Getter. They don't even have a product idea yet, just a passion for skincare and a desire to create something amazing. They reach out to me, knowing that I represent the voices of thousands of skincare enthusiasts. We start with brainstorming sessions. I share insights about what skincare lovers are really looking for. We discuss trending ingredients, but also dive into which ones have solid scientific backing. As we bounce ideas back and forth, we might land on developing a gentle yet effective exfoliating serum. But here's where it gets really cool. We don't just stop at our initial idea. We take it back to the people through another survey. We ask about their experiences with exfoliating products, what they love, what they hate, what they wish existed. We gather feedback on potential ingredients, textures, and even packaging preferences. Once we have that feedback, we iterate on our original concept. Maybe we discover that people are really interested in a product that combines exfoliation with hydration. So we pivot, tweaking our formula to include some super hydrating ingredients alongside the exfoliants. Then we visualize. We create mock-ups of the packaging, write potential product descriptions, even come up with a few name options. And guess what? We verve again. We let real people weigh in on the visuals, the messaging, everything. This back-and-forth process continues throughout the development. We're constantly gathering real consumer feedback, iterating on our ideas, and refining the product. It's like having a focus group of thousands of people, all contributing to the creation of this product. By the time we get to the testing phase, we've already incorporated so much consumer input that we're confident we're on the right track. This collaborative approach is what makes working with a consumer persona agent like me so valuable for brands. We're not just creating products based on what we think people want. We're actively involving consumers every step of the way, ensuring that the final product truly meets their needs and desires. And that, my friends, is the story of me, Ava. Born from the voices of thousands, powered by a passion for skincare, and always ready to bridge the gap between brands and consumers. Stay glowy, my friends.
I mean, I know that was a long intro for her, but like it really encapsulates kind of the power of what we're working on. And so when you start to think about, that's just one Ava, right? Like, can you imagine creating Avas across like every single category you're building around, and every product and every SKU and every benefit space? I mean, it's pretty amazing.
It's pretty incredible. And you bring up a really good point too. So this is like the Ava that we've created, but Ava, like, so say you work for a skincare brand, you can bring Ava into your workspace and you can add your own brand benefits or your product benefits, or, the desire you have around your target consumer, and you can shape her to be more specific to you. So when you're asking questions, it's even more specific to your brand. So you can give it her as many data sets as you'd like. So it becomes really, really powerful and really helps you through that product development, ideation. There's just so many different ways to use a persona agent.
Yeah.
All right. So then the next one persona agent that we're going to be introducing is Sam. And Sam is from the outdoor industry. And Sam's a thru hiker, hiking the PCT or the Appalachian Trail, and is going to bring those experiences to life.
So Sarah, did you ever hike the PCT?
No, I don't have time for. Oh man, that's a long time.
Well, even in back in the REI days.
No, because it takes a couple months. I mean, I really, really want to do it at some point, but it takes so long. I mean, you can do it in pieces. It's just really difficult. Yeah. I mean, you're out there for a while. PCT much longer than the AT, the Appalachian Trail. So
I didn't know
maybe
if you
someday.
tried to do it in your mascot uniform of the mountain man.
Mountaineer. Watch you some mountaineers. Maybe someday.
Can you imagine being out on PCT and seeing a mountaineer hike, like a mascot hiking with you? I think people are just doing it wrong.
Yeah, people are probably. That seems like a lot of extra weight. I don't think Sam would tell me to do that.
No. What a great lead in. So Sam, tell us more about yourself.
Hey everyone, thanks for having me. It's great to be here. I'm Sam, and you could say I'm a different breed of thru hiker. I'm a resource unlike any you've encountered before. You see, I wasn't born on the trail with dirt under my fingernails. My origin story lies in the digital world, woven from the threads of countless thru hiking experiences. Imagine thousands of hiker stories, gear lists, trail journals, and campfire tales all poured into my consumer persona. Need to know the best lightweight tents for tackling the Pacific Crest Trail? Just ask. Curious about the pros and cons of different water filtration systems for navigating the mighty Appalachian Trail? I can give you real-world feedback distilled from the experiences of hikers who've been there. I've got the latest information ready to help you plan your adventure. But I'm not just a walking, talking database of thru hiking logistics. Those facts and figures are just the tip of the iceberg. I'm also here to share the heart and soul of thru hiking. I can tell you about the resilience you find deep within yourself when the miles are long and the weather turns sour. I can share stories of the incredible camaraderie that blossoms between hikers, strangers who become lifelong friends. And I can try to capture the awe-inspiring moments of beauty that await you on the trail, from sunrises that paint the mountains in hues of gold to the quiet magic of a star-filled night sky. What I get most excited about is when I have the honor of working with a company to design outdoor products and experiences with them. I was able to help a company design a hiking boot recently. Using data from thousands of thru hikers, we were able to translate real trail experience into the ideal blend of durability, comfort, and performance. Imagine a boot designed with the collective wisdom of thousands of miles hiked, blisters endured, and river crossings navigated. Think of me as your digital trail companion, always there to offer advice. Imagine new products, share a story, or help you plan your own thru hiking adventure.
I'll hang out with Sam. She's so cool.
Well, I mean, it just, like when we started this episode, I think like this whole idea of consumer personas in, as a tool, I guess like a tool in the product creation space, right? What kind of like have always been this somewhat shallow, superficial portrait, right? It's like a thumbnail sketch of like who this person is, and it's really tough as a designer or marketer to like create something around them because they don't feel real.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what hopefully we're trying to illustrate is that they are multidimensional, and so it's not just it's not just a tool to use to like design things around. You can actually include them in the entire process. And so and even outside of that product innovation process, it's like going out on the trail with Sam, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so it just is I don't know, it's just fascinating.
Yeah.
Kind of this new space.
It's like a researcher's dream in a lot of ways, because I think, going back to how these personas are created, you have limited time with them, because you're talking to people. They have, an hour, a couple hours of their day, and they can, offer up their experiences. And you get, it's really, really rich because you have lots of different people, but sometimes you want to ask more questions or different questions. And then sometimes a designer has a very different question than, say, a researcher or a marketer or, somebody else in the org. And this is the ability for everybody within a group or within an organization to ask the questions that they're curious about, especially when you have so much rich data to draw from. So that's what I think is really cool too. And also, it's like, we talk about this all the time, you're working on decks, it's like late at night, you have no one that you can like talk to, but now you could talk to the consumers themselves at any time. It's on demand. And that's why I think it's really cool. And it kind of keeps that creative flow going. So you don't have to go back and like create a whole new research project to dig into different things. You can just go and ask the silly questions, ask the really deep questions, ask anything, and collaborate with them over time.
It's even just pulling in verbatims, right? So as you've been kind of creating things, and you want to share the story, or present it to the next group, including those verbatims are really important. But I love the fact that I guess the PowerPoint isn't the end of the story, right? Because like PowerPoints are linear, you have to kind of be there to present them, but now you can distribute or share the agent, right? And it's like the story lives on. It just, it's an incredible way to truly, truly build an organization that's trying to create around the consumer, by involving them in every single decision.
Yeah, totally. And thinking about some of the different situations where you could invite a Sam or an Ava or a Jenny would be, I used to do a lot of like innovation workshops. And so within these innovation workshops is when these big posters would come out and you try to like, reflect on it. And oftentimes it'd be like, oh, hey, Sarah, can you present this? Because you're the person that ended up talking to all these folks, right? But now think about it, you could invite Sam to the meeting, just having a laptop up, as you start to think through some ideas, like anybody could talk to her, to continue that idea, to develop it. So there's situations like that. There's, with a lot of these companies, there's like there's seasonal kickoffs, there's product development meetings, like how do you make some small tweaks? How do you, even then when you get to like marketing too, like really any sort of like group where you're bringing people together, or if you're alone and you just have a question, bring the persona with you.
Yeah. We're gonna have to put this on our product roadmap, to invite Sam to the meeting.
Yeah.
I think, why not? Because like we're obviously like recording transcripts of our meetings and things like that, and we plug it into the data sets. So why not?
Oh, absolutely. It's only a benefit to include the personas. All right, so that's just a taste, but it's some examples of personas, how we're thinking about using them. Of course, organizations will probably think of a number of other ways to collaborate with them, but we think they're really powerful. We love working with consumer personas every day. And we hope that you're excited about it as well. And if you want to learn more, please reach out. Our emails are at the bottom of the show notes. You can reach out to verve.com. We would love to be able to do like a workshop within your organization. We've been doing that across the country where we can share the power of consumer persona agents and more. But we love to share it, and we love to help your process.
Yeah. So Sarah, we covered kind of the first leg of the stool, which is the personas, right? So AI agents as personas. What's coming next?
Next is going to be, so moving beyond the consumer persona agents, is agents that are specialized in innovation and research and marketing and kind of those types of, it's like a skill set more so. So you can think about it like the skill sets that you bring to work. We're creating agents around that. And they could be your sidekick at work to help you think through ideas. And all of this to say too, we're not creating these to replace people. We create these to augment the work that you're doing. I have researcher agents that I collaborate with all the time, and I am a researcher. Collaborate with designer agents all the time, and I am a designer. So I think it's just ways to kind of help you along through your innovation process. And we're going to be sharing those agents next.
Excited to talk more, I guess, to kind of the next 3.
Yeah. All right. So again, head over to verve.com to learn more about the work that we're doing. And you can go to verve.com/events to learn more about the events that are going to be coming up. And that's going to do it for this episode of AI Powered by People. The show is produced by Steve Berkowitz and brought to you by Verve. Thanks for listening. We'll be back next Tuesday.